But if it does not, then it means we are having our class. Now, let me bring to share back. We have been looking at the psychology paper 9-101-102, the past papers of 2013. And just to maybe ask us, we need to get somebody to remind us about which modules comprise this paper, which modules comprise this paper. Somebody, which modules comprise this paper we're looking at?
We have module 5, module 11.
Yes?
11 EBD.
Which modules?
Child development.
That is, we mentioned the name of the module and the module code.
002. Then psychology 005. Guidance and counseling 003. And behavior management 011.
Yes, so we are basically revolving around the 4 modules, and it's also necessary that we also take note of some questions that are open that needs our reasoning. So we started looking at these areas, and we were able to look at the questions, but unfortunately, we did not look at the slides with the answers. So according to Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development, we were supposed to differentiate between assimilation and also between assimilation and accommodation. So we say that assimilation occurs when we now modify or change the new information to fit into our schemas, or what we already know. So when we talk about assimilation, again, it keeps the new information or experience and adds to what already exists in our mind. So that which already exists, remember, we always say that when we are teaching, we teach from the most simple to complex, that is from known to unknown. So that information that is already existing, when we modify it, or when we add a new information on it, we now call that assimilation. But now accommodation on the other side is when we restructure or modify what we already know so that new information can fit in better. And when you look at the assimilation and accommodation, they almost look the same. And there is a very slight difference that in assimilation, of course, we modify or we change the new information so that it can fit into what you already know. And this could be the information or the experience that we are adding. But when we talk accommodation, we now restructure on the restructure of modify what we already know so that new information can also fit in. Accepting the new information and finding its position in what is already existing now becomes the accommodation. Accepting the new information and finding its space where to put it. We talked about the educational implications of Jean Piaget's cognitive theory to a special needs education teacher. And we say that the theory is an adaptation of instruction. An important implication of Piaget's theory is adaptation of instruction to the learner's developmental level. So when we talk about remember the Jean Piaget theory of cognitive development, Jean Piaget describes it as stages, 4 stages of maybe just to ask the class again, what are these stages of cognitive development? What are these stages of the cognitive development? Let me try to check on the screen. Yes.
Okay, the stages are sensory motor stage. Number 2, we have pre-operation.
Sensory motor stage ages.
0 to 3 years.
No, 0 to 2.
0 to 2 years.
Okay.
I can see there is a raised hand, or the hand has been withdrawn. Stage 2.
Pre-operational stage 2 to 7.
Yes, pre-operational stage 2 to 7. Philema.
Stage 3, concrete operational 7 to 11 years.
Concrete operational 7 to 11 years.
The last one is formal operational 12 and above, adolescents.
Yes.
The last one is the formal operational 12 and above, uni adolescent stage.
Baka ya
Yes,
Yote.
yes, Jacqueline.
34 mpaka 60 hiyo ni hata.
I'm not getting you, Jacqueline.
Yes, we are just okay.
Okay,
Formal
okay.
operational stage na amesema ni 12 and above, amesema ni adolescents. Hata kama ako na 30 still ni adolescents because anafanya vitu vya adolescents.
Okay. So we talk about the formal operational to 12 years and above. So again, it provides concrete props and visual aids such as models and or timeline. So it provides the visual aids. This Jean Piaget's cognitive theory, remember it, we talk about the concrete operational, which provides the visual aids that facilitates learning. And it also uses familiar examples to facilitate learning and more complex ideas such as story problems in maths, story problems in, it should be such as solving problems in mathematics. It should be solving problems in mathematics. We'll look at that. It also allows opportunities to classify and group information with increasing complexity. And therefore it uses outlines, and we talk about the hierarchies. We talk about the hierarchies to facilitate assimilating new information with previous knowledge. So when we talk about the hierarchy, there is the order on how the events are also arranged. Like when we talk about the hierarchy of leadership in a given area, of course, there is the topmost position of leadership. And then there are other positions that are picked by individuals depending on their level of education up to the last person down there. It also presents problems that require logical, analytical thinking, the use of tools such as brain teasers is encouraged. And according to Jean Piaget wants the teachers to teach the learners how to think and not what to think. When the learners are taught how to think, it means they are going to be diverse and dynamic in their thinking, and you are likely not to manipulate them to get a specific response. You are likely not to manipulate them to get a specific response. I don't know what is wrong with the screen. I can see someone has been complaining about it.
Oscar,
Yes.
na nikipeana majibu kama hii, use child-centered approach in teaching.
Use
Child-centered approach in teaching. Then again, alipropose ya kwamba curriculum to be taught starting from simple to complex activities.
Yes, curriculum from simple to complex.
Then provide children with concrete teaching aids. Children to be encouraged to play.
To play, the play aspect.
And the discovery method of teaching.
Yes.
Teachers to encourage children to manipulate objects and environment.
The objects and the environment, yes. To facilitate the cognitive development and the cognitive abilities.
So
that is very right. Thank you. Now, let's look at, we also looked at the physical, the characteristics of child development. So these physical characteristics, we talked about, the characteristics of the child development. We talked about the physical. Remember, when we talk about the development of an individual, we have to talk about the physical aspect. When you look at the person, how is the body physique? Is it in a normal way, or is it having having problems, or like the disabilities? Somebody who may be having a disability may also be having problem with the physical appearance. For example, somebody who is blind, the physical appearance may not be the same as the one without the blindness. We also talk about the intellectual, that is the cognitive aspect, how a person or how a child is growing. And when we talk about the intellectual aspect or the cognitive aspect, then you realize that very many people, rather those that are having the challenges with their cognitive abilities, they are likely not to be in a position to comprehend even the very simple, facts of life. Joining things to come up with a complete thing may be a problem. What about the social aspect? How does the child or the individual relate with others, so that when we are talking about the relationships or the social relationships, there are those that may be having challenges with it, or they may be exhibiting some poor characteristics that becomes a problem to social relationships between the individual and others. And that means the achievement of the social relationship may be to the deepest end, because it cannot be realized, since the individual may be having problems of a relationship that needs remediation. Especially remember about these children with the hyperactive characteristics. and those with the EBD. We talked about the meaning of the term assertiveness as used in life skill education. And we are saying that assertiveness is the use it is a skill regularly referred to in social and communication skills training. And now being assertive means being able to stand up for your own. So assertiveness is being able to stand up for someone's own or for your own or other people's rights in a very calm and positive way without being either aggressive or passively accepting the wrong. So when we talk about the assertiveness, when now somebody stands for his or other people's rights in a very calm way, without being aggressive or passively accepting the wrong, we now say that that is an assertiveness. That is now assertiveness. And we also say that there are benefits of assertiveness to a learner with a special needs. One, it makes the learner gain self-confidence. It makes the learner gain self-confidence and even self-esteem. Today, as we speak, there are those who may be suffering the self-esteem. There are those who may be having low or almost zero self-confidence. They need somebody to, appraise them or to praise them first for them to believe in them that themselves that they can do something. Again, the individual, the learner gain a sense of empowerment and understanding and also recognizing the other people's feelings, including the personal feelings. It also makes the person earn respect from others. Standing for what is right will also make you earn respect from others. It also, of course, improves on the communication and it creates win-win situations, especially where someone's right is almost being violated. And then it also improves the decision-making skills. And of course, it also creates honest relationships, especially if you are able to stand for the rights of others. It creates a good relationship, of course, a honest one between you and the one whose rights you are standing for. We talked about ways in which a teacher can enhance attention of learners with ADHD, that is attention deficit hyperactivity disorders. Of course, in the classroom. And one, the teacher needs to build a strong relationship with the child's parents. Why is this very important? So that the teacher, this makes the learner to accept to be led within the classroom, because the learner knows that both the teacher and the parent speaks the same language. Again, the teacher may also allow peer tutoring, where now other learners educate their fellow pupils as a way of enhancing attention for the learners with ADHD, and also establish effective seating arrangements so that those that are having the hyperactivity disorder, they are either seated close to the teacher or they are seated at the middle of others. So to especially if they are out of seat every time and again, this will be able to at least control them. Again, as a teacher, you need to establish rules and routines And when you are establishing rules and routines, make sure that it is done together with the learners, including those with ADHD, so that when they are wrong, they are now able to own the consequences that come as a result of going against the very simple rules that they made. And as a teacher, you also need to be simple, clear, and direct. You can also break things up. When you are having activities, you can break the activities into manageable groups where the learners with ADHD are also even given responsibilities, including leadership responsibilities to execute. You can also allow extensions when doing activities that maybe the ADHD learners are in love with. You can allow the learning session to extend. If, for example, they love playing football and people and the learners are outside, you can give an allowance of maybe 10 minutes to extend it so that they can fully satisfy their thirst for the activities that they love. You can also reward good behavior. You can reward the good behavior in such learners. And when you are rewarding, do not forget to reprimand those learners who may be actively hyperactive. When you also punish them, they also learn that there is a no-go zone that when I cross, then the tolerance level goes down. Now, I want us to look at the question number 3. Let me just increase the fonts. I want us to look at question number 3. Yes, let's look at question number 3. Explain the following terms as applied in behavior management. Explain the following terms as applied in behavior management. That's behavior modification. We talk about discipline. We'll look at effects of undesirable relationships in school among learners with special needs. And then we'll also discuss ways in which physical disability may affect learning. So let's start with the first one. Explain the following terms. What is behavior modification? What is behavior modification? Somebody, what is behavior modification? Okay, what is behavior? Yes, Philema.
Now your question are 2. Which one am I going to respond?
Okay,
The
just
first
respond,
one,
just
modification.
respond to any, just respond to any first. Philema, just respond to any that you wanted to respond to.
Okay. Behavior modification. It is improving of the desirable behavior by either giving rewards and decreasing the unacceptable behavior.
Right, thank you. Thank you very much. That is on behavior modification. Thank you. Now, let me now get to know, what is behavior?
Behavior refers to what you say or what you do.
What you say or what you do. Now, what is modification?
To change.
Modification? Femina?
To improve.
Yes?
To improve. To improve.
To improve.
Pascal,
Yes.
let me try. I think it is trying to make adjustments in the existing behavior.
Trying to make adjustments in the existing behavior. And when we make adjustments, we are making adjustments to the positive side. So what about discipline? What is discipline? There are some terms that we will mention here. What is discipline? What is discipline? Yes, Corretti?
This refers to the internal or the external control through which an individual adheres to the set rules and maybe norms.
Internal or the external controls through which an individual adheres to the set rules or the norm. The set rules, the norms, or the regulations. Yes, Salome.
Discipline is training one to adhere to the set rules.
Training one to adhere to the set rules. Thank you very much, class. What is disobedience? What is disobedience?
Pascal,
Yes.
let me try being rebellious. You're not following what you are supposed to follow, maybe in an institution.
I have been rebellious. One more person on the same.
Another one.
Yes.
Try.
Yes, talk. We are not getting. You have muted yourself. Okay, Femina.
Yeah, it's failure to follow instructions or rules.
Failure to follow instructions or the set rules. Yes, Susan.
Defying against rules or laws. Defying
against rules or the laws. Right. Thank you very much. Now we are talking about those ones were some of the terms. What about delinquency? Delinquency. What is delinquency? Somebody, what is delinquency?
Criminal behavior such as stealing among the youth, fighting.
Criminal behaviors among the children. Thank you. Very true. What about truancy? Truancy.
Staying away from school for no apparent reason.
Yes.
Or even at home, you stay away from school or even at home for no apparent reason.
For no apparent reasons. Now, just before we continue, what are some of the behavior modification strategies? Because we are talking about behavior modification. What are some of the behavior modification strategies? Correct? Please, when we
Reinforcement.
make Okay, when we mention a point, mention it and tell us something about it. You have talked about reinforcement, yes?
Okay, maybe whereby when the learner shows good behavior, you reinforce maybe by giving something like a token or a star for that behavior for it to continue being displayed.
Reinforcement. Someone else? The behavior modification strategies. Mariam?
Tokens, giving out of tokens, whereby if you can give sweets or maybe a present to a child when he or she has done something good. Is it token economy? Tokens kitu kama hii.
It's called token economy. The rest, I hope we are able to get each other. So the one who is having a problem, check on your connectivity. So we have talked about 2 points, reinforcement, token economy. Any other? The points are still many on the behavior modification strategies. Yes? Anthony.
Can I say that you can also provide good role models for the child to imitate, whereby you avoid those avenues where the child can see or acquire an acceptable behavior at trial.
Yes, that is the modeling aspect, trying to show the perfection for the child to emulate. Thank you very much. Any other, please?
Pascal.
Yes.
Remark principle, ile ya grandmother rule.
Tell us about it.
Enye kama kuna kazi mtoto anapenda kufanya sana, unaitoa hiyo, ndo unamwambia ukimaliza hii ndo utaenda sasa maybe kucheza. Labda anapenda kucheza sana kuliko kazi ya shule. So unamwambia ukishamaliza kazi ya shule ndo utaenda sasa kucheza.
Yes, the remark principle. It is also called the grandmother's rule.
Yeah.
Especially that which the child likes to do, it becomes the last one, so that the child is able to do what is required of him or her, and then that becomes the last option, so that now he will joyfully go and do that which he likes. Hey, still I need three more, please. Susan?
I was thinking about use of positive words like very good boy or girl. I don't know what we call them.
Using of positive
words like very good boy, very good girl, and you can even clap for that that learner or maybe akifanya vizuri.
I also feel that it is still under reinforcement.
Under reinforcement. Have we talked about timeout?
No.
Okay, timeout is whereby when a learner misbehaves, you remove her or him, and then you take the learner to a timeout room.
Please, pardon, Philem.
I'm saying timeout. It is removing the learner from a positive reinforcement, and I have said, for example, if the learner to a timeout room, so akitoka huko akirudi atambehave.
Right. Yeah, thank you very much. 2 more to go. Two more to go. Two more to go.
Mbona zimetajwa zote?
Not yet, not yet. There are still many. Yes, Damaris.
Punishment, Pascal, yeah.
Punishment.
Yeah, either you physically apply some force, either slapping or caning when the child has done something wrong.
All right. The punishment, one more.
Overcorrection.
Overcorrection, tell us about it. Somebody on overcorrection?
Restoring up to more than the normal correction.
Yes?
Pascal, isi vile yenye tuliambiwa mtoto kama anapenda kuiba maembe uleta mingi kabisa kule mpaka ashindwe.
That is the so-called
proximity control. Ama?
Satiation.
Oh, yeah, satiation, exactly, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. That's satiation. Akipenda kuiba njugu unampatia kama gorogoro.
Unaleta mingi sana.
Unamwambia sasa kula yote.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have others that you have not mentioned, like extinction. We have the contingency contracting. We have also not talked about, we have talked about satiation. Then there is the systematic decentralization. If you can remember very well, we covered this question on behavior modification strategies in one of the takeaway, if you can remember. Let's look at question B of number 3. Identify 6 effects of undesirable relationships in school among learners with special needs. Now, maybe we start looking at what are these undesirable relationships among learners with special needs in schools? What are these undesirable relationships?
Transi.
Yes?
Transi.
Jacqueline, you're talking about truancy? Somebody was talking about truancy. I don't know whether I got it right. Okay, so what are these effects of undesirable? Yes, Marion.
Can we talk about stealing?
Yes.
I'm talking about stealing among the undesirable behaviors. About
undesirable relationships ama ni behaviors ama yote ni sawa?
Undesirable relationships.
Oh.
Ni kama kufanya urafiki ama wa msichana na mvulana. Sielewi.
early pregnancies.
Kwa hivyo ni huo urafiki wa wasichana na wavulana. Haya, tuende nalo.
Haya, sawa, tumeshika mita sasa, tusonge.
Bad relationships.
So what are now the effects of this undesirable, this bad relationship among learners with the
There's a letter truancy. Wataebanga shule.
Poor performance, drugs and substance abuse.
truancy, Rosaida?
It may affect their academics in that they will deteriorate in their performance.
Poor academic performance.
Pascal,
Yes?
it may lead to school dropout.
Yes, school dropout. It may lead to drug use. Somebody has said it may also lead to early pregnancy. Yes, Anthony.
In a class situation, learners may not pay attention, so it will affect their level of concentration. If the teacher has also provided materials for them to manipulate, their minds are already disrupted, they are tuned to other things. So there is poor participation. Thank you.
I don't know whether I'm the one who is not getting you. Are we able to get Anthony? Anthony?
Naam. Unanisikia? Napatikana.
You are breaking.
Andika.
Okay, let me chat.
Use chat box.
Yes, Marian.
Pascal, what about stealing? You remember maybe a long time ago when other people used to hide other people's books. So I believe this effects, one of them can be stealing, whereby a pupil can be stealing from fellow pupils. I don't know if I'm right.
Pardon.
I'm saying the effects, it can lead to other pupils stealing from others. For example, stealing their books or hiding each other's books. I don't know if I'm right.
Class, where do we put the point? Yes.
I think she might be right in that the bad relationship may be just the bad rapport between the learner and the other colleagues, not necessarily the boy-girl relationships.
Right. Let's not take too much time there. Anthony was saying it may lead to poor concentration in class and poor manipulation of materials because their minds are disrupted. This question may be having so many points, and there is also another point that you know, a child who in one way or the other may be expecting, and they may be tempted to think that whenever people are seated, whenever their colleagues are seated to talk, they are the ones being discussed, and therefore they may end up being stigmatized and even depressed. Let's look at delinquency too. I've seen that. Let's look at discuss 5 ways in which physical disability may affect learning. How can physical disability affect learning?
Oscar,
Yes.
it may hinder the child to manipulate the learning environment. Maybe access to classroom, playground.
Yes.
It may hinder the child from accessing the learning environment.
May hinder the child from accessing the learning environment. Somebody raised the hand called Kise. Please respond.
Yeah, they having low self-esteem.
Yes.
Low esteem.
Low self-esteem.
Yes. Due to the disability, another stigma from the peers.
Stigma from the peers.
Yeah, so I think it's a point. Thank you.
The stigma from the peers that will eventually affect the learning. They can't also take part in the PE or some other activities that may need that may lead to vigorous exercise, or that may require some amount of energy to be applied. Absenteeism, maybe attending the checkups. There could be frequent falling downs due to weak bones. Frequent falling downs due to weak bones.
Pascal.
Yeah.
It may also lead to standard growth in case of the brittle bone.
Yes.
In case of the brittle bone, it may lead to standard growth among the learner. So mtoto kuaccess kukuja shule kupata masomo itakuwa ngumu.
Yes, stunted growth. We have also talked about absenteeism. Due to the child attending the checkups every time and again. The learner can't be able to write in case of amputation or in case of an impairment that has led to the complete damage of the fingers. This specific learner may not be able to write using that hand again. Inability to manipulate concrete materials in case the disability is around the fine motor. All right. In case the disability is around the fine motor. So the child, where the child may need to use the hands to manipulate the learning materials or the concrete materials, including the realia, may be a problem, because if the fingers have been damaged through an accident or from sicknesses, to an extent that they can't work, then you realize that this child may not even perform simple operations that requires the use of the hand. Let's look at, so we talked about behavior modification, and we say that this refers to the application of behavioral approaches to teach new behaviors, to maintain and improve acceptable behaviors and decrease unacceptable behaviors. For example, using incentives or rewards to encourage and maintain desirable behavior among learners is one technique of behavior modification. So when we talk about the behavior modification, it is a way of trying to maintain the good behavior while at the same time discouraging the bad behavior. And if possible, in most cases, through guidance and counseling, we try to offer the service that is the guidance and counseling to make these learners who may be having problems with the behavior to at least try to conform. But you realize that guidance and counseling, in most cases nowadays, it is offered to everyone. We talk about the discipline, which refers to internal or the external control through which a person adheres to set norms and standards of behavior. And so these standards could be set by self or self-discipline, or by a group or the larger society, adhering to socially acceptable behavior. So discipline, it can also refer to a practice of training people to adhere to rules and procedures for social harmony, like in school, like in a school setting. If the school rules are not adhered to, then in this case, we will now refer to a person as a disobedient child. And as you are aware, disobedience or the behavior modification, we have talked about the modification strategies, and one of them we talked about was the punishment. We talk about the punishment, that is the flogging, and of course the punishment can either be, we have types of punishment. Somebody can tell us what are the types of punishment?
Negative punishment and positive punishment.
Negative punishment and positive punishment. So what are the negative punishment? Yes, what are the negative? What about, yes?
Negative punishment, the one that instills physical harm.
That causes the physical
negative instill physical harm on the child. Yeah. That is negative punishment. Positive, the opposite.
The positive punishments, tell me, class.
Yeah, I can say the negative one is the one which corrects the behavior, and the positive one is the one which reinforces the behavior.
So the negative one corrects and the positive one maintains, reinforces the behavior.
Simu nini, mutoe example so that we can understand.
Okay, tuseme kama mtoto amechelewa, si utamwadhibu, maybe caning or giving the pupil another punishment, maybe washing the toilets or sweeping the compound alone.
Answer that question if you don't have
but you are trying to correct her behavior. Kesho atachelewa tena. While the positive one ni kama amejibu maswali vizuri, you reinforce maybe by clapping, saying good boy, good girl, that way.
Yeah, also on this negative punishment, that's when you you reduce something, or you take away a favorable stimulus from the child. Like maybe you can take away a toy. That is a negative punishment.
Yes, Salome.
I think that I know we have reinforcement whereby we have the positive reinforcement and the negative one, but when it comes to punishment, we just have that punishment by application, like you can apply a cane beating, and then we have removal of that. Maybe you remove, you tell the child not to not go for break, you'll not do that. Now that one is punishment by removal. That's what I understand.
So you are saying that types of punishment, there is punishment by removal and punishment by application.
Yes, then reinforcement is where you have negative reinforcement and positive reinforcement.
Actually, when we talk about types of punishments, what Salome is saying is very right. We have the punishment by application and the punishment by the removal. So that on the reinforcement, that is where we now have the positive and the negative reinforcement. So I think again, at that point, we also need to be very keen so that we don't get lost. Thank you for reminding us. Thank you for reminding us. So let's talk about the punishment by removal. What happens in this? Somebody, punishment by removal. There is silence. Punishment by application, somebody?
Maybe the removal is what I was talking about. You withdraw some of the favorable things that the child has, like a toy. Then application is whereby if a child does not, you want to punish a child, you add more chores to the list of so that she or he can have more to do than usual.
Let's move. Let's carry on. This was not captured. I think time was catching up with me. Equally, this one. I think the two I will be able to capture them so that when we begin looking at them tomorrow, I will have captured. But let's look at question number 4. Describe the concept of extinction as used in behavior management. Now we only need to understand what extinction is. Okay, I can see Mary is still talking about the punishment by application, where you apply an unpleasant stimuli on the child by, e.g., by caning, caning, sweeping. I want to understand this one of sweeping. While by withdrawals, when you withhold a gift of reinforcement. Mary, I wish you would tell us about the sweeping aspect. Ama nikufagia tu hii normal. Yes?
Yes, Pascal, I mean, hello.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, by sweeping, I mean maybe if the learner is late for class,
yes,
you can punish him or her by telling him to sweep, maybe the corridor or so while the others are in class. That is a negative, or it is an unpleasant stimuli.
Oh, that was an example, right?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Now, class, describe the concept of extinction as used in behavior management. Yes? Yes, somebody on the extinction? Okay, this is, of course, it is a behavior yes, Philema, I've seen your hand.
What I am about to say, I don't know whether I'm correct. You will tell us. I can say it is used to control problem behaviors. The extinction.
It is used to control
problem behaviors in classrooms, such as disruptive behavior.
Okay, that is extinction to control. Okay, Anthony.
Can I be audible now?
Yes, carry on.
Okay, when we look at extinction in a way where we had operant conditioning theory, conditioning and classical condition, and see the dog. The dog is given a reinforcer, and then the behavior, that behavior is reinforced positively. It means reinforced is withdrawn or removed. Then it means the behavior of the dog salivating or waiting for food will continue reducing by itself. So my understanding that extinction is about something is removed, a reinforcer is removed, so that another behavior is discouraged or it is meant to come to an end. My thinking. Thank you.
Okay. Somebody is saying, remember the teacher saying you avoid giving attention. Okay, Anthony, thank you for that. I don't know whether I've seen your hand up again. Right, thank you. So we are going to look at the extinction aspect, but now let's look at somebody say about learning, relearning, and unlearning of behavior. Highlight 6 benefits of using extinction as a behavior management strategy in a class of learners with special needs. Yes.
Pascal, maybe it will help the learner to learn the appropriate behavior.
Yes.
Maybe one is it will help the learner to learn appropriate behavior.
Help the learner to end the appropriate To end the appropriate behavior.
To learn the appropriate behavior and end the one which is not accepted. Juu like kama mtoto anapenda attention seeking na mwalimu sasa zile amemwona ameanza hiyo tabia anamlenga, mtoto anagundua kwamba kumbe hii ni mbaya, na hiyo tabia inaanza tu kufade polepole, anaanza kujifunza ile tabia nzuri.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's very true. Right, someone else on the same? Someone else? Someone else? Mmenyamaza sana. Yes, Vilema.
Wacha tujaribu tuache kunyamaza. I can say it can also help the learners to improve their performance because disciplined learners are always attentive.
Okay, thank you. It also, this is somebody say occurs when conditional stimulus is applied repeatedly without paired with the unconditional stimulus. Therefore, learned, I'm not able to understand it well.
It helps to decrease the occurrence of the behavior.
Or to help decrease the occurrence of especially of the bad behavior.
Pascali unasema you can't get it well. I think anajibu ile 4A. Sijui can.
For the first one, eh?
Yes.
Pascal,
Yes.
can we also say it ensures that the bad behavior doesn't spread to other learners?
So that to ensure that does not spread to other learners by allowing the other learners also to see how it is dealt with, those who exhibit it. Okay, Eunice, your hand was up.
Learners to become self-reliable and hence stop seeking attention.
Yes.
Like it helps learners to stop seeking attention, hence become reliable, self-reliable.
Okay, thank you. Mulingi Anthony.
Allow me to say that if the behavior that was disruptive was removed, it means that these learners in class are able to be controlled. So it will help the teacher in class control. Thank you.
the class control. Thank you too. Yes, Edwin.
Hello,
Yes.
Pascal.
Yes, yes. Edwin, we can hear you. Edwin.
Mimi nataka kusema time is over.
Oh, our time is also up, eh?
Hivyo ndio anajua nataka kusema. Kama nimesema uongo aseme.
We are not able to get him. I don't know whether there's a problem on his end. Edwin, are you able to get us?
Atatumia chat box, achana na hii.
Okay.
Pascal.
Yes, Edwin.
Yes, I'd been thrown by something when I started talking. So I can see it's past time by 4 minutes. And before I leave, I'd like to ask if there's been a positive response.
Let me get it. If I'm not wrong, I think. Are you able to see that?
Yes, I think how many people are those? There are 6.
And I hope I've updated all the names for those who have so far sent.
Mine's missing.
Who is that?
Philadelphia.
Okay, those who have not done something, you can. Sawa weka. Those who have not done something, I think you can see the list clearly. So if your name is not in the list, let's try and do something so that. Oh, Pascal, post your number. Mary Mutuki is asking for your number. That's what I wanted to say next. So kindly post your number. So those who have not done something, kindly, let's try and do something. Already posted Mary Mutuku, so that this Zoom, as it is helping us, it will continue to help us. It's good to remind each other every day. Maybe mtu anaweza kuwa nayo na amesahau. Na tukikumbushana kila siku hivi, it's very good and it makes people to remember. Thank you. Back to you, Pascal. I don't think if we have a newcomer today.
Yeah, thank you very much, Edwin. And I think up to that point, let me just I think at this point we want to pray, and I'm going to request a volunteer to offer us a closing prayer. A volunteer to offer us a closing prayer. A volunteer, somebody to offer a closing prayer. Oh, Caroline Kiini, are you there? Caroline?
Yes, Pascal,
Yes, how are you?
I'm fine.
Would you please mind offering us the closing prayer?
Okay, let us pray. Thank you, Lord, because you have taken care of us throughout the day. Thank you because you have given us time to revise, dear Lord, discuss things concerning us and our exams. Father, as we go to sleep this night, we ask you to watch over us, dear Lord. And when we meet tomorrow, Lord, we shall not forget to give you the glory and honor. Bless us with your peace. Help us to be godly people. In the mighty name of Jesus, I pray and believe. Amen.
Amen.
Good night.
Thank you very much, and good night, everyone.